Coming up next on the Conscious Courage podcast.
Something that you can do is to keep a journey, documenting your progress, write down your accomplishments, no matter how big or nor small, and take the time to celebrate them. Share your journey with your trusted friends or support groups to reinforce your progress. Good morning. Welcome to the Conscious Courage podcast, and sing it with me. Happy Motivational Monday. I am your host, Davone'a Tashae. I meet with you all every Monday at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to provide practical steps toward our inner healing journey, or what I've coined internal glow up. Whether you're here as a first-time listener or returning, thank you for tuning in. The team and I are grateful to every subscriber via YouTube and every listener via Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, as well as Spotify. With a special shout out to all of our IGU babes keeping up with us on social media on all platforms at CC Podcast with DT. Y'all are locked in and we are too hyped to have you here, all right? Now, ensure to listen on through so you can receive those practical steps as well as any announcements that we may have. Let's dive on into today's episode. Hey y'all, good morning. Happy Monday. Today is July 29th, which means we are in the last Monday in the month of July. So if you're new, the month of July, we are focused on healing our inner child or healing our inner selves. Everything within the Conscious Courage podcast, okay, involves growth mindset, empowerment, inner healing. We're focused on our mind, we're focused on our heart, our emotions as well. And of course, I'm going to bring in the word. So you best believe your spirit man is being enriched as well, or enlarged. Hello, we are being decreased in this world and increased in him, as it is written in John. I think that's in John 13. Like John, it may be John 13, 30, verse 30 something. It's in John though, for real. Anywho, in this episode, y'all, we are diving into integration and transformation. And you may think, girl, what are you talking about? Stick around, stay tuned as we dive into it. And I'm doing something a little different. So I'll spend half of this episode, of course, highlighting and going into the topic of integration and transformation. And the second half, I want to bring in some diagnosis that a person could receive, or some behaviors that a person could be displaying because of the traumatic experiences they had as a child. As I mentioned in the last episode, I have my bachelor's degree in psychology, and I have been working on my master's in mental health clinical counseling. And that's where a lot of my topics stem from. It comes from my studies. It comes from conversations that I'm having with people. But never get it twisted, okay? I am the daughter of the Most High God, the Most High King, the true and living God, the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, the Lord of Armies, okay? The Alpha and the Omega, the one who is the same today, yesterday, and forevermore, the one who created the heavens and the earth. You understand what I'm saying? The one who created the creatures in the sky in the name of Jesus, okay? He created the creatures in the sky as well as the fish in the sea. He created the inhabitants of the sky, and the creatures in the sea is what the word says, and you can go and find that in Psalms 24, okay? But in it all, I'm going to bring y'all the studies, because that's where, I started giving scriptures, hosting Bible studies, and then I ventured off into just sharing stuff that I'm learning in school by way of conversations, etc., etc. And here we are now. Share all that to say the second half of this episode, as I've mentioned, I'm going to go into some diagnosis. Now, mind you, I already have a disclaimer, but I'm going to say this here. I am not a licensed professional. Okay, what I am doing is for educational entertainment purposes. You hear me? Therefore, do not hold what I say as Bible. Do not hold what I say as law. Go out and seek the information for yourself. Speak to a professional. All right. Don't lean on me, baby. Don't do that. Reach out to the Lord. Ask the Holy Spirit to intervene and intercede for you. And as there's still some assistance, or should you find that there is some professional assistance that you would benefit from, then go forth and you receive that as you should, baby, because you deserve to be so happy and so at peace and joy filled, okay? Because that is due unto you as it is written in the word. Now let's get into this episode, y'all, because this is the last episode of July. Now, as I mentioned, over the last few weeks, we've been exploring and understanding our inner child and healing trauma and wounds. We've also went into reparenting and self-care. That was last episode, which was episode 17. Episode 16, we had a licensed professional counselor, Mrs. Siobhan Gray, with us to take a deep dive and explore our inner dialogue that we have. She also dropped nuggets from child to parenting children to also how a parent can show up. And I explored what but understanding your inner child meant. That was episode 13. And then what was episode 14, y'all? That dropped today as I'm recording this. What was episode? Oh, that was healing your trauma and wounds. So this has been good. I'm prayerful that this has been good to y'all as it has been good to me. And as we continue to dive into this transformational journey, my prayer is that you're taking this information, okay, and applying it. And today we're going to build upon that as we conclude this journey. So we're diving into integrating your inner child into your adult life by embracing change, recognizing transformational growth, and sustaining healing, as well as creating a new narrative for yourself. Let's start with integrating your inner child into your adult life. Integration is about acknowledging your inner child's needs, feelings, as well as experiences, and allowing them to coexist, okay? We're going to take these here feelings, emotions, experiences, and allowing what you had going on from youth to coexist with your adult life. So think of it as welcoming a younger version of yourself and giving them a safe space and a loving place in your present life. It's hot in here. So example, suppose your inner child felt neglected as an adult. You can now give yourself the attention and care that you lacked. So when you feel overwhelmed, you take a moment to pause and ask yourself, what does my inner child need right now? Really, how can I show up for myself right now in this moment? If you want to take the inner child out because that sound, you can't get with that, that's fine. So pause and ask yourself, what do I need right now in this moment? Maybe it's a comforting word, a break, or a fun activity. Maybe it's that dinosaur oatmeal that I mentioned. If you don't know what I'm talking about, that's because you didn't watch episode number 17. So make sure you go back and watch that. Or episode 15, because I mentioned it in that one also. Episode 16. Lord, all these episodes, praise God, the episodes are coming and coming. But it was episode 16 and 17, and now this one. Anyway, the action that you can do is practice being aware. So checking in with yourself on the regular. You can do this by way of journaling, simply being aware. So having that moment of silence that I've spoken about previously, or simply taking a few deep breaths. And ask yourself, how am I feeling right now? And what do I need? Nothing wrong with it. Feels good, doesn't it? How am I feeling right now? I have a little bit of tension right here, I'm going to be honest. What do I need to go back to sleep? All right. Now, healing and integrating your inner child brings significant changes, y'all. Embracing these changes means accepting that you are evolving and growing. It's about letting go of old patterns and welcoming new, healthier ones. So an example of this is, let's say that you need, or if you used to avoid conflicts because they reminded you of childhood arguments, you might find yourself now addressing issues head on. Good job. This change can feel uncomfortable at first, but it's a sign of growth. So congratulations on your growth journey. Look at you growing on up out here. Reflect on, and this is your marching order, so your action, reflect on the positive changes that you've made throughout your healing journey, yo. Celebrate these things and remind yourself that they are steps toward a healthier and more fulfilled life. So when you have to big up yourself, like, oh, I'm a speak up for myself today. I'm a speak up. Let me tell y'all, this is an example. I remember I wanted to ask for time off. This was several years ago. And I was afraid to go to the supervisor and ask for time off. And you want to know why? I was afraid to hear the word no. And I mean, I had anxiety, but hands were sweating. Excuse me, I was feeling anxious, in which we're going to talk about anxiety a smidge, because I'm deep diving into anxiety next month, August, baby. It's going to be good. So you have to come back. Anyway. And I realized, okay, well, one, why am I feeling this way? Oh, okay. Well, two, it's because I don't want to be told no. Okay, well, why? Well, it stems from X, Y, and Z from childhood. Oh, we're going to nip that in the bud right now. You get up out of this chair. I had to rehearse asking, can I go? May I take this time off? Can I go? And then before you know it, I went up there. And guess what happened when I asked? She said yes. Now, this is many, many years ago. But still, I think of that moment from time to time. Like, that was a grow up moment for me. And sometimes it may want to rear its little head up again. Like, aren't you anxious to ask that? Aren't you anxious about this, or anxious to say that, or anxious to do this? Do it anyway, and do. Now, you have transformational growth. So recognizing and celebrating the transformational growth is crucial. The celebration is celebration. Okay. Celebrate these good times. Come on. Healing your inner child is a profound journey, and every step forward deserves your acknowledgement. An example of this is maybe you've noticed that you're more compassionate with yourself, or you have built stronger boundaries with yourself or others. These are significant achievements, and showcase your growth. I don't like it. These are significant achievements that showcase your growth. Something that you can do is to keep a journey, documenting your progress, write down your accomplishments, no matter how big or nor small, and take the time to celebrate them. Share your journey with your trusted friends or support groups to reinforce your progress. Now, I'm not going to hold you. Sustaining this growth or this momentum requires effort as well as commitment, y'all. So it's about continuing to nurture your inner child and maintaining the practices that have helped you heal up until this point. An example of this is being aware, and as I've mentioned, journaling. So it's the benefit is to make the journaling and or awareness a regular part of your routine. So consistency is key to sustaining your healing. And I don't think I have anything else to add to that. Develop a self-care plan that includes activities and practices that support your well-being. Schedule your regular check-ins with yourself to ensure that you're staying on track. Having that set time, as I mentioned in the last episode, for those that have greater commitments as it pertains to marriage, children, other affairs that they have going on, or obligations, having that set time aside, 5 minutes, check in with yourself. Really, a lot starts with awareness, because when you feel your stomach tighten or your hands sweating or your head hurting, those should be alarms to yourself where you can check in and go, wait a minute. What? Why am I feeling like this? What is going on? How many symptoms am I experiencing right now? Okay, I need a break. I need a breather. I need to regulate a little bit. It all starts with awareness, though. Now, this is good because creating this narrative or this transformation journey that you're on allows you to empower yourself while healing as well as integrating that inner child into your present life. So this new narrative reflects your strength, your resilience, as well as your growth. An example of this is, instead of seeing yourself as someone defined by past traumas, you can now view yourself as a survivor, a thriver who has overcome significant challenges. You're a survivor. And then I'm going to stop right there because as I have told y'all, I don't really know how all this works. And I don't want anyone to come after me saying, you said my name, you sang my music, none of that. No, we good over here, okay? Your action here is to craft a personal mantra or affirmation that encapsulates, baby, we're going to have to do that over. That is to craft a personal mantra or affirmation that encapsulates your new narrative. Okay, so repeat it daily, reinforce it to yourself, be empowered by your new story. Share your journey as well with new narrative with others to inspire and encourage them. I am whole, I am worthy, I am beautiful, I am handsome, I am kind, I am gentle. But not only are you saying these things, you're doing the works to also transform yourself in those areas. I do know how to trust. I trust myself. I trust in the Lord. I trust in the Lord. Therefore, I can trust in myself because my steps are ordered and ordained. And He is going to lead me down the paths and allow me to be in the presence of those who He has ordained to be in my life. Therefore, I can trust those individuals, right? But not trusting blindly. What kind of fruit do they bear? Where is their conversation at? Look, not going to go squirrel. Not going to go squirrel. Now, this is the part where we're going to shift. This is that second half that I mentioned in the beginning, where I'm shifting from the explanation, the examples, and the actions, and bringing you the impact of childhood trauma and how they can show up as adult disorders. As I mentioned previously, well, not in this episode, but in last week's episode, which was episode 17, childhood trauma can leave deep scars that manifest in different ways. And this is really the purpose of this whole segment or mini series for the month of July in healing our inner child, because there are deep rooted traumas that arise later on in life. And they often can lead to mental health challenges as well as personality disorders. And so we're going to break down some of those, and I want to share those with you. And this is where that disclaimer comes into play. The one that I said previously and the one that will follow this video or this here segment content. So there are a couple of disorders that I will provide with you. Bear with me, okay? So you have your post-traumatic stress disorder, also known as PTSD. An example of this is a person who experienced abuse or neglect in childhood might develop PTSD, characterized by flashbacks, severe anxiety, and uncomfortable thoughts about the traumatic experience or that traumatic event. Ad break. Are you seeking an electrifying speaker to ignite transformation in your audience? Well, look no further. Hi, I'm Davone'a Tashae, real estate investor, Air Force veteran, and host of the Conscious Courage podcast, where new episodes are released every Monday, 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time via YouTube and all streaming audio platforms. I specialize in delivering impactful keynote speeches that inspire change and elevate your minds. Whether it's a virtual gathering or an in-person event, I bring passion, expertise, and a unique delivery to every arena or every environment that I'm in. Let's captivate your audience together and create an unforgettable experience. Contact me today to book your next event, and let's embark on this journey of transformation, or let's get all of your attendees on this journey toward internal glow up. You can book me via my website by going to www.davoneatashae.com. I'll spell that for you. It is www.DAV as in Victor, ONEATASHAE.com. I look forward to connecting with you. Take care. An action here is seeking therapy, such as that cognitive behavioral therapy that I mentioned in episode, I want to say 15, when I went into healing and trauma, or eye movement desensitization, which is also something I remember. Also something that I mentioned can help with managing PTSD. Of course, always, you can seek the Lord. Prayer, you can look at, if you have the foundation first, accepting the Lord Jesus Christ into your life, okay? 2 is getting yourself either in a deep-rooted Bible teaching, instructing church, or finding that said leadership, facilitation, education, instruction, teaching by way of something presented virtually. All right. 3 is getting into the word also for yourself, not allowing for the individual with the Bible and in front of them to tell you, direct you, and instruct you, but to allow what they're sharing with you to be of confirmation to what God is already telling you, because you're forming that relationship. All right, y'all. And as you grow up in the word, and as you die off to this flesh and increase into who you are, then you can get into a position of accepting and taking that leap of a deliverance. Not saying you have to go in that order, baby. You may just have a deliverance, and that's exactly how the Lord welcomes you into his welcoming arms. But just wanted to drop that, right? Because again, I give a lot of psychology because that's what I've been studying. However, don't get it twisted. I will pray and fast, okay? And I will speak with the Lord and build my relationship with him real fast. Like a NASCAR. All right. So post-traumatic stress disorder. Now, I'm going to reference the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. 5th edition, for short, is called DSM-5. This is a book that someone gifted me, oh my gosh, several years ago. And let me say this. Let me talk to my ladies. Let me talk to anyone that is single, anyone whom is out there dating. Like, it's one thing, the reason why I said ladies is because I don't know how women show up in relationships. I can only speak about me. And I'm going to support the individual that I'm with. If that means financially, through prayer, whatever it is, right? And when I say financially, I mean like if they're in school, investing in, or I'll purchase some of their school books. If they're blah, 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 I'll purchase, that type of thing. Not no sugar mama over here. But I'm sharing this to say that this book was purchased by a gentleman and who wanted to invest in as I was pursuing school. I could think of the time when I was engaged and I was studying to take the GRE so that I can get into graduate school. And I was not doing well on the assessment test. And so the gentleman that I was engaged to at the time, he invested in this tutoring program or this preparatory course that helped you and gave you some testing strategies and skill sets to use to not necessarily ensure your success, but hopefully allow you to have greater success. So to the men and the women out there, as you are either actively exploring a relationship or you're just humbly waiting, when that partner comes to, man or woman, don't get confused or don't settle for, men, a watch or shoes or a hat, or ladies, a purse, nails, or a wig. See if that person is really gonna to show up for you and invest in you, things that are not tangible. How do they invest into your mental health, your emotional health, as well as your spiritual well-being? How do they invest into your relationship with the Lord? What is their relationship with God? So I just wanted to drop that out there because I have this because somebody bought it for me. That's how invested into my education. Now, post-traumatic stress disorder. And I already have a disclaimer, so I'm not going to say that. So this is some criteria. Don't hold on to this as Bible. I just wanted to give you a little reference because I realized girl, you studied this stuff. Let the people see you have the material in the books and you're not just coming off the dome. You have some references here. So this can look like having exposure to actually or threatened death, serious injury, or sexual violence in one or more of the following areas. And that is directly experiencing a traumatic event. I'm not going to read them all off. Or learning that a traumatic event or events occurred to a close family member or a close friend. In case of actual or threatened death of that family member or friend, the event must have been violent or accidental. Let's go down to the presence of one or more of the following intrusion symptoms associated with traumatic events. That might look like recurring distressing dreams in which the content and or effect of the dream are related to the traumatic event. There are negative alterations in cognition and mood associated with the traumatic events beginning or worsening after the traumatic events occurred, as experienced by, and then it gives a couple of examples. Again, I'm not going to read everything verbatim just for the sake of time. There is also some other symptoms that can appear. Then there's the post-traumatic stress disorder for children 6 years and younger, and how this might show up. This is a child who has experienced actual or threatened death, serious injury, or sexual violence in one or more of the following areas, and that is directly experiencing the traumatic event, or the presence of one or more of some symptoms. So recurrent, involuntary, and intrusive distressing memories of the traumatic event. Also, this can look like persistent avoidance, also negative alterations in cognitions. So they could be socially withdrawn or having socially withdrawn behavior, persistent reduction in expression of positive emotions. Another disorder or mental health condition or challenge that can form from these experiences in youth is borderline personality disorder. And those with borderline personality disorder, also known as BPD, may have unstable relationships and intense emotional responses and fears of abandonment, often linked to early trauma and attachment issues. And I talk about attachment styles in the month of April, if I'm not mistaken. The whole month is dedicated to attachment styles. It's either April or May. I should have my planner in front of me so that I can make the proper references, y'all. Oh gosh, I think it's April is attachment styles. Now, an action here is all related to therapy, right? And focusing on emotional regulation, distress tolerance, or even building interpersonal skills. So in the DSM-5, the essential feature of borderline personality disorder is a pervasive pattern of instability of interpersonal relationships, self-image, and good effects, and marked impulsivity that begins by early adulthood and is present in a variety of contexts. So a pervasive pattern of instability, as I've just mentioned here, this might look like frantic efforts to avoid real or imagined abandonment. This does not include suicidal or self-mutilating behavior, which is covered in a different criteria. This could look like chronic feelings of emptiness, transient, stress-related, paranoid ideation, or severe dissociation symptoms. Girl, bring this tongue into captivity, okay? To obey and to speak, all right? I can speak eloquently. Identity disturbance. This looks like markedly and persistently unstable self-image or a sense of self. Now, don't y'all go out here self-diagnosing you. I'm just bringing you into the world of psychology. That's it. Now, anxiety disorders, and there are a myriad of them. An example of this here is childhood trauma can lead to chronic anxiety, with individuals consistently feeling on the edge or worrying excessively and experiencing physical symptoms like rapid heartbeat. Really, one of the best practices for this is awareness. The word here is mindfulness, right? But awareness. And I'll speak to that because when I started my new position, I would feel anxious. And I didn't exactly know why, but I had to become aware. That's why I underscore awareness, because we live in this world where we're so busy and we ignore the natural God gifts of our body communicating to us that, hey, something isn't right here. And when I began to realize, wow, something isn't right here, my body is reacting in this way, X, Y, and Z, I had to check in with myself and go, okay, why? Oh, wow, well, I am in this new environment. Okay. I don't know these people. Interpreting their body language and or tone of voice and or this to mean one thing, and it doesn't mean that whatsoever. So learning to, one, be aware on how my body is communicating with me, like, hey, something is wrong. And then two, how am I interpreting what's going on around me that's resulting in my body reacting in this way? And then number three is my perception of what's happening true, or is it false? Is it make-believe? Is it based on a previous experience? All of this, but I cannot get to the root, or I would not have gotten to the root of a matter or to a thing until I became aware. So that's the beauty. That is the power of awareness. While also, you can seek prayer. At that time, my relationship with the Lord was not where it is now. And so I was seeking and figuring out. Y'all, I almost went on a tangent. Stop. All right. Reading this here. Well, let me finish that thought. I was seeking and figuring things out on my own, in which with him there is speed, and which with him there is a clarity that I may not be able to bring to myself, because I didn't create myself. He did. But here we go. So anxiety disorders can include disorders that share features of excessive fear and anxiety and related behavioral disturbances. So fear is the emotional response to a real or perceived imminent threat, whereas anxiety is the anticipation of future threat. And I think that is phenomenal. Obviously, these two states can overlap, but they also differ, with fear more often associated with surges of atomic arousal necessary for fight or flight, thoughts of immediate danger and escape behaviors, and anxiety more often associated with muscle tension and vigilance in preparation for future danger and cautious or avoidant behaviors. Sometimes the levels of fear or anxiety is reduced by perversive avoidance behaviors. Then you have panic attacks. Panic attacks feature prominently within the anxiety disorders as a particular type of fear response. Panic attacks are not limited to anxiety disorders, but rather can be seen in other mental disorders as well. Now, it'll be a deep dive, baby. Every topic is a deep dive. We're going into anxiety and next month. August, actually right after this. So I'm looking at my calendar here. So August 5th will be the first topic, and that is, do I have anxiety? So I break down anxiety a little more. Make sure you come back so we can learn together, okay? Do you have anxiety? You don't, because God didn't give it to you. But we're going to experience it anyway, because you hear a lot of people saying anxiety, and we are going to get edumacated, okay? That's what we're going to do in the month of August on this topic of anxiety. Now, there are some other areas that I don't dive in, but we will talk about them in the future, such as substance use disorder. The month of September, we're diving into substance use disorder, bringing up addictions. I have 2 guests that will join us, guest speakers, and they share their stories in overcoming. So I'm excited to share that. Another area that you can look at that could manifest or show up from your childhood experiences and now shows up in mental or even other disorders is dissociative disorders, and amongst others, right? So healing from your childhood trauma is a journey. We've only spent 5 Mondays discussing this, but this is a journey, and it requires time, patience, as well as support. By understanding how your childhood experiences can shape our adult lives, we can take proactive steps toward healing and transformation. Remember that you are not alone in this journey. You can seek professional help, reach out to the Lord, reach out to that man or woman of God, as well as connect with supportive communities and be gentle with yourself as you navigate this path. So I thank you for tuning into today's episode of the Conscious Courage podcast, being with me as we explored learning about our inner child, learning about our inner self, and how we're showing up now based off of our experiences and traumas and unhealed wounds from youth. And if you enjoyed today's episode, this discussion, and you want to continue this journey together, be sure to subscribe to the podcast, leave a review, like, share, all of the things, baby. I'm only asking for like 4 things. You know what I'm saying? Just 4 of them. Also, please share this episode with 3 to 5 people. Get out there, listen to the audios, and download the streams. Okay, we got to take this. We gonna go up, y'all. We going up, and we're doing it together. Until next time, stay courageous, stay conscious, and keep growing from within. Remember, it takes courage to be conscious, and courage is the key to conscious living. I love y'all, and I will see you next week. Disclaimer: as a content creator with a background in psychology and ongoing studies, it's imperative that I note and clarify that I am not a licensed professional. The videos and podcasts I produce are intended for educational, entertainment, and transformational purposes only. While I strive to provide accurate information and insights, it's essential to consult with a licensed mental health clinician or a licensed mental health professional for clinical perspectives and personalized advice tailored to your specific needs. Your mental well-being is of the utmost importance to me, and seeking guidance from a qualified provider is encouraged for any concerns or issues that you may be experiencing.